TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no rain with a heavy metal. No time, no veil, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop. Come on, baby, higher. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors. It's the Breakfast Bankroll for Tuesday, October 15, 2024. Halfway through October already. Got my UConn jersey on because in 15 days, the three-peat is coming to a town near you. But we got a lot of basketball talk. Adam Trigger at WagerTalk will be making his debut. He's been on before. His college basketball debut Friday after the College Insider, so stay there. But we got plenty of pucks, props, thoughts to talk to with the NHL expert, of course, Mr. Andrew McInnis. Shout out to our proud sponsor and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play. Download the app. It's free. Viva Tequila Seltzer, CT Bets, the team, the family, second to none. Will you go buy some adult beverages like at the Garden to watch the Bruins or the Celtics? Try their new flavor, coconut. The East Coast is cuckoo for coconut. And of course, Terry Smith at Atlanta Steak and Seafood. Head on over to Facebook. Introduce yourself to Terry Smith. Head on over to Atlanta Steak and Seafood. Place an order. In the promo code this week and next week, since it's fish month. No, actually, how did he word it? October is something with seafood. Seafood is the word I'm looking for. Use the promo code Seafood20. Get $20 off any box of seafood with Terry at Atlanta Steaks and Seafood. That's lobster tails. That's salmon, sea bass. He's got a whole bunch of seafood. It's amazing stuff. So shout out to Noah Frank, the gentleman behind the glass, the best in the business. And without further ado, coming off Thanksgiving, the one and only Mr. Andrew McInnis. Morning, sir.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Feeling good. Just happy to have the NHL back. I enjoyed some good games yesterday, some good afternoon games. How about that game you and I were texting about briefly? You said first to 7 wins, ended up being first to 8 wins. What a crazy game that was.
I didn't take in the 2-point conversion would have been needed. I thought just the extra point there. Yeah, it's funny, Andrew. You got matinee hockey, which the Bruins historically have been awful. So anytime, especially it used to be that Saturday 1:00 game. I don't know why they have them scheduled there. You could just, whoever the underdog was, take the underdog. And it got as bad as Tuukka Rask blaming Buffalo Wings from Friday nights for some of his performances there. But I'm going to start with a rant here because I was the, how should I word this correctly? The DirecTV must-watch every football game every Sunday. Had 20, 25 people. I was the host. breakfast, lunch, dinner, kick people out at, halftime of the late game. I've had enough, guys. They lock the door when you're leaving. But it was a lot for this work and, of course, the fantasy football work. Now I cut the cord. I got YouTube TV, and I'm a red zone junkie. For some reason, I wanted to put myself through the cruelty of watching that football game last night. And I will tell you, it was the most horrendous, flag-filled, uninspired crap that they call NFL and a billion-dollar business. That performance was pathetic.
Well, Jeff, people will look at the scoreboard, right? Like if you didn't watch the game and you looked at the score this morning, oh, geez, not bad. Pretty good game. Close game. Must have came down to the wire. Well, it didn't have to come down to the wire, and that's really the problem. Whether we're talking about missed kicks or whether we're talking about flags all over the field, it was just hard to watch. It was hard to watch last night. And, how can any team gain momentum, really? How can anybody know who? It was almost to the point yesterday, Jeff, where if a quarterback completed a nice pass, you were wondering, is that going to count or not? And if a quarterback had an incomplete 30-yard pass, you were looking around for the pass interference flag. And, one thing in the CFL, and I know they talk about this a little bit in the NFL, but in the CFL, it's very, very clear that they will not call a pass interference and put the ball on the spot of the foul if the ball was uncatchable. It will still be a penalty of a sort, but it will not be placed at the spot of the foul. And in the NFL lately, we're starting to see these balls, and don't get me wrong, I know it's on the defense too to not hold when the ball's not even close to the offensive player. But we're starting to see all these pass interference calls when the ball is in the third row of the lower bowl. And the guy had no chance of catching the ball, and there's flags all over like it's a college dorm, that no one's doing their laundry. And I think that, it ruins the product on the field. And do you notice it seems like it's always these primetime games as well?
It's just, watching that game and watch the first half unfold. Seabass from the Bills missed an extra point. It looked like Lucy and Charlie Brown and all that good stuff over there. Then misses a field goal. Then in comes Legatron later in the game and says, "Hold my beer, I'll outdo you." A 30-yarder and then one doink. That was the bad win section. Then he comes and it looked like me hitting off a tee box. Started far right and faded all the way to the left and another doink. And then the funny is, late in the fourth quarter, after all the madness, the Jets take the lead with a Braylon Allen touchdown, and he's starting a celebration. He's doing all this. Oh, there's a flag on the field. At some point, New York, Goddell, someone, after 3/4 of this madness, should have called down to the head official and say, "Hey, guys, put the flags away." Because I know in big games, the refs will make an early statement. And you see it a lot in hockey where two teams are real chippy and early in the game, they'll make a statement and they'll be saying, "Hey, guys, this is what we're looking for, so don't do it, or we're going to call it." After 3/4 of 15, 18 penalties, a call should have been made unless it is absolutely flagrant and don't call it. And the cherry on top was the end of the game. Mike Williams wide open after he did one of these earlier, wide open, trips over his own feet, and then the guy comes over and intercepts it, and there's Mike lying on the ground. I would have told Mike, just clear out your locker room, pal. Enough's enough here.
And it's hard to blame Rodgers on that one, right, Jeff? I mean, it's hard to give Rodgers the blame there when a guy trips and falls. And this is the thing that, because I was on the Jets, and I will say that, it almost, in a weird way, with all the flags, Jeff, it makes me feel better that I can at least blame the kicker, right? Greg the leg is not Greg the leg anymore. He's Greg the toe because he hits, 50% these days, it seems like. And what was it, a 43-yarder and a 30-something yarder? That to me is the difference. Ultimately, that's the difference. It should have been 16-10 or 13-10 or sorry, 23, and they should have been up by 3 or they should have been up by 6, and then unfortunately, neither of those happened. So that was very frustrating.
Well, Andrew, it was a couple weeks ago. We had breaking news. We got breaking news.
Whoa.
Davante Adams to the New York Jets for a
Wow.
3rd-round conditional pick. And now, so here we go. Okay, let me see here. Aaron, we brought you over last year. We brought Randall Cobb. We brought over Lazard. We brought over your OC, Mr. Hackett. You get injured on the 4th play of the season. This year, we fire Salah for you. Now you got the big stage. Monday night, you're playing for first place. You spit the bit. Now we bring in Davante Adams. I mean, what else do you want? I mean, what else do you need? And they also told Hassan Reddick, you got 12 hours to find a trade. If I'm him, I'm calling the Lions and say, hey, guys, you lost Aiden Hutchinson. I'm right here for you guys there. But thoughts on Davante Adams? You're a Packer guy, to the New York Jets.
I mean, it's huge. It's huge chemistry-wise. And I know this is going to sound kind of funny to compare these two players, but has anybody noticed the chemistry with Lazard has not gone away with Rodgers? It's every game now. And from a player prop perspective, shame on all of us for not just betting the Lazard props every single week, because that's what chemistry will do for a duo. Now, obviously, Lazard, he's no Davante Adams. So you bring Davante Adams over to the team. What's that chemistry going to look like? What's that go route going to look like when they need a touchdown, when they need 6, or when it's the end of the half? It just adds to the depth. It adds to the receiving core. And also the run game. Breece Hall, he got his rushing attempts yesterday. They ran the ball a hefty amount. If they can establish the run, if they can have that perfect balance, they're going to be really set. Because one thing I've noticed about Rodgers over the past few weeks, Jeff, it's kind of either a run or it's a long-ish pass. He's not throwing any 5 or 6 yard passes, because if they're going to do that, it's going to be just a run. And he'll dump it off a little bit to Hall, and even Braylon Allen actually is going over his receiving yards a little bit, but he still is feeling like his old self. He loves throwing that deep ball. You give him Garrett Wilson and Davante Adams on the same team, watch out. It's going to be dangerous.
Well, we'll wait and see, because it'll be something else next time. They're running out of guys to bring back. I'm running out of names to throw in there. I was trying to think of something funny to say, and I think he's brought everyone back. So I can't even come up with one unless he wants to bring Shannon Sharp, and that was Brett Favre's guy, I think. And
I heard he wants Eddie Lacy to come play running back for the Jets.
Hockey, as you said, is back. I sent the alert out yesterday, and we can't script this, of course. We had the Rangers minus the hook. First period, they score around that 12-minute mark. And now with Shesterkin back there, you're like, okay. So I keep checking. There's a minute to go. I'm like, okay, now just, because the under-over in the first period was juiced to minus 140. So I got the first one. I'm like, okay, Shesterkin, just do your thing. I circle back 2 seconds to go, 1-1.
Painful. Absolutely painful.
And of course, they then go on to cover the puck line there. And the other one that I was a little, and sorry about the Penguins and their team total.
The Penguins look good. It's kind of funny, Jeff. Like, remember when the Spurs in the NBA were old, but they were had all the fundamental players? I swear to God that the Pittsburgh Penguins are the San Antonio Spurs, with Tim Duncan, Ginobili, Tony Parker. It reminds me, they've got all the vets, all the right pieces, all the guys that know how to play the game the right way. they just have very minimal flash. And it sounds funny to say that because they've got Erik Karlsson, Chris Letang, Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin. You've got all these studs. And they're just kind of like that old school team. They're not going to make mistakes. Their transition game was perfect. Tape-to-tape passes that were stretching like 30-some feet. And they caught the Montreal Canadiens in transition. Most of the goals that Pittsburgh scored were actually in transition, which is funny because usually that's something that the Habs are good at defending. Usually they get scored on when they get caught in their own zone and they're cycling the puck around for a minute or two and they get tired. But great call by you. I thought the over was a good play, and I'll tell you what, this Habs team, unfortunately, even though I think they are kind of turning a page and they are a little more respected this year, you got to watch out for them off a win. And that's the thing with this handicap. Watch out for them off a win because they lose to Boston in a game that they played okay in. Their goalie let in some weak goals. They gave up 6 goals in that one, still scored 4. And then it's the bright lights. It's Saturday night. It's the first hockey night in Canada of the season. And they beat Ottawa like it's no big deal. A perfect win, great goaltending. The offense shows up. You watch all the media stuff. And this is the thing, Jeff, as a fan, how diehard I am. I watch, after this, before my hockey show, I might sip on a coffee and I'll watch the morning interviews with the Habs players. I watch it every day. But sometimes they're honest and sometimes they're just giving the professional answers, right? And the fact of the matter is, I like what the players said last night. They pretty much said, we can't afford to have a loss against Boston for us to get motivated. We can't afford to get our asses kicked a little bit in order for us to wake up. And for the time being, I'm going to put it out there that when the Habs are off a loss, they might be an under team, and when they're off a win, they're going to be an over team. It's the level of not just physical play as far as out there playing, but the mental aspect of this game as well. They might not feel like they do, but you feel good about yourself a little bit, right? And then all of a sudden you start to forget about those little details. So great call by you. You love getting that plus money. And I think, again, that Pittsburgh team is going to be involved in a lot of overs as well. But the Habs, watch out for them off a win. When they're feeling good about themselves, it means they're probably going to allow some goals.
Before we get big slate tonight, I have one question before I ask you what you've seen so far at the start of the season, the good, the bad, the ugly. Bruins are now 0-2 against the Florida Panthers. The locals, Felger and Maz, Mr. Felger likes to say, we're their bitch. They have our number right now. Whether it's a 6-5, first 1-6 wins, or it's a 3-2 or 4-3 like last night. I still think, Swayman with the contract and all that, still waiting to get his sea legs. Their backup there needs some work as well. But should Bruin fans be worried that currently the Panthers are their kryptonite?
Jeff, I think that growing up for me, watching the Bruins when they were called the Big Bad Bruins, they were so good at remaining skillful but kind of being a pain in the ass, for lack of better words, being those pests but still being able to stay on track. And that's what the Florida Panthers are now. They're a team that no matter who it is out there doing this, they're very good at getting under your skin, but while doing so, they're still playing hockey. And what I find these days with the Bruins, the second you get under their skin, they're going to be there for each other. They're going to defend each other. Pasternak, someone challenged him to fight. Marchand jumps in with his gloves off. They're a pack mentality. They're a great team. But I feel as if that the second that they feel that game is shifting into one of those types of games, it throws off their game altogether. Whereas, the old Bruins, they might have actually thrived in an environment like that. And so when they play Florida, it's almost like a team that likes to play like them, except for they can manage their emotions a little bit better. So When I look at some of those goals, Swayman let a couple weak ones in, some defensive lapses. We had a player run into Swayman, so the net was wide open. From a betting perspective, though, how about those over 5.5s between those two teams? Are we going to continue to see 5.5s? Because right now these two teams are scoring goals against each other, but it's what sticks out to me the most, Jeff, is the fact that Florida has the ability to be physical but remain in the hockey game. When the Bruins start to get physical, it seems like that's their only objective, and they kind of forget they're supposed to be playing a hockey game at the same time.
Well, we've got a few games under our belt. I like to call this segment the good, the bad, the ugly. What has your eyes seen so far in the league? Surprises, shockers, slow starts, etc.
You know what? I knew you were going to ask me a question like this. So one thing I'm ready with is the back-to-backs. The back-to-backs have been brutal so far for teams. And here's the funny thing: a lot of people will tell you that back-to-backs only matter in the middle part of the season, right? When the teams are exhausted, when the teams are on a road trip. But you said something about the sea legs. I think that's what you said, right? About Swayman. And that's how I feel about back-to-backs early in the season. I think a back-to-back is worse in October than it is in December. By then, you've got your legs under you. You're in the full swing of things. You're a professional athlete. You're good to go. Maybe in March, January, March, it gets tough. But early in the season, these back-to-backs seem to be stinging teams in a big way. When I say stinging teams, I mean the opponent's team total is cashing. The full game over is cashing. Point props on their opponents are cashing. The first period over is cashing. Teams are coming out real slow second half of the back-to-back. So if anybody loves looking out for those angles, make sure you're keeping an eye on that, because that's actually been really successful so far. I'm not saying it's wash, rinse, repeat, but so far these teams aren't looking strong second leg of the back-to-back. What else have we noticed? And how about some of these stronger teams in the Western Conference? How about Vancouver? How about Colorado? How about Edmonton? Are those teams going to win a game? Nashville, Vancouver, Colorado, Edmonton. All four of those teams, Jeff, haven't won a game yet. It's crazy, and you think to yourself, is the NHL turning into some type of NBA now where players realize, we can afford to start early a little bit, start slow. We're going to get it going. Well, I've got breaking news for Edmonton. They're not going to go on a 13-game winning streak again this year, probably. So they better figure it out ASAP. I'm going to give Colorado a little bit of a break. And shame on me for trusting them last night with their team total, because they're banged up. They've got injuries. Like, they've got, I think, Lekkonen's out, Nichushkin's out, Drouin's out. Like, it was I think I kind of overthought it, was thinking, how are we still getting this number if these guys are still out? And I liked the matchup for them, but some of these teams are struggling early on. I'll tell you what else I'm noticing. The Atlantic Division, as expected, is an absolute bloodbath. The Habs opened things up in a shocking 1-0 win over the Leafs. The Leafs countered that game with a big performance their next game. And then you've got the Senators and you've got the Red Wings both win. It's very interesting to see how that division's going to unfold. And I'll tell you, some of these live dogs, like the Chicago Blackhawks, I think, are going to be a decent team. The Anaheim Ducks are going to be able to score some goals this year. So I'll tell people to be careful about some of these spots, and road teams are going to have more value early on. But I do think that it's important to measure the travel for some of these teams. Like the play with the Rangers yesterday, I think it was really important for the Rangers to get that win, because they need to establish some winning culture at MSG this season, because once you go on the road, then you start getting some better prices on these teams, but it's harder to win for some of these teams when they go on the road. So it's an interesting start to the season, Jeff, and I'll tell you what, you're certainly not able to just open up your sports book and say, yep, this favorite's going to win, because if you do that, you're having a tough time so far. The favorites are struggling a little bit, some of these big favorites.
Noah, let's go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we got Andrew for about 6-7 more minutes before he heads off to his next show. We're going to go to the pucks, props, and thoughts, where Andrew will give us some of his lanes and props for tonight's action, and maybe peek ahead before he has to leave. So, Noah, one quick commercial. I'll be right back.
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no way, with a heavy metal. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop, come on, take me higher. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop.
Every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Eastern, Andrew McInnis at McInnis Picks at WagerTalk comes on board. And on Fridays at 3:30 Eastern, I will be back reciprocating on his YouTube channel at McInnis Picks. If you have not subscribed over there yet, shame on you. Head on over to YouTube at McInnis Picks. Subscribe. It's free. While you're over there, tiptoe over to East Coast Sports Investors if you haven't subscribed there as well. Big slate tonight. I think the true headliner is New Jersey at Carolina, but a big board here. The stage, the ice is yours. Any current early morning leans, props, team totals, whatever your eyes are seeing in the NHL tonight, Andrew?
Jeff, I have one dog that I like for tonight, and this is one of those matchups where I know we don't want to chase the teams that are winless. It's a real bad strategy when you're just following these teams, waiting for them to get their first win. I like the Vancouver Canucks tonight. I think they're going to be a solid road team this year. I like the plus money with them. They're everyone's favorite team in the West. People love this team to have another great year, take that step forward. And what's so great about them is they're relatively young. They've got some good players that have been around the block, but they're still relatively young. But what I like about them the most, Jeff, is that when they're on the road, the mismatches of the lines that the coaches will try and get over the Canucks aren't going to work as much because they're a very deep team. They've got 3 lines that can play hockey, 3 lines that can score. Their 4th line is tough as well. But when you have that separation, you got a goal scorer on the 3rd line, multiple goal scorers on the 1st and 2nd line, it does a lot for you. And this Vancouver team, as much as they're giving up goals right now and they've been involved in some crazy games, I think they're going to catch a Tampa Bay team that, although they're rested, they kind of breezed through their game against Carolina last Friday night. But one thing about Tampa Bay, I will say, Jeff, I don't think they have depth. That's going to be the biggest issue. And the reason why is because they've had success for so many years. If you have success on a team, you want to go collect a paycheck somewhere else in free agency. That's what's happened to the Tampa Bay Lightning. So they lost a couple guys due to that, and I think the depth's going to be a little bit of a problem. So I do think the Vancouver Canucks are a live dog in this one. The Golden Knights, they go on the road for the first time this season, I believe, taking on the Washington Capitals. And we saw a great performance out of both goaltenders for the Capitals last season. I think they're going to pick up right where they left off with that. I'm going to go under 6 in this one. I think Vegas obviously has showed us they've got that same offensive talent they're capable of having. But they go on the road, their scoring slows down. You look at road and home splits. This Vegas team, Jeff, is a little bit of a different offensive weapon when they're on the road versus when they're at home. So I feel like that could be a little bit of an issue. And here's another dog for you. Chicago Blackhawks plus 124 at the Calgary Flames. I think this team is going to continue to be written off a little bit. They're a much better team. They're improved. I know they're not as strong of a team on the road, but they took down Edmonton a couple days ago. They're playing a Calgary team that's going to go over, and I feel like 82 games this season with how poor their defense is. But don't look now. Calgary hasn't lost a game yet. And I think this Blackhawks team is going to give a lot of people a tough time, shock people a little bit. And one more pick I will say I like. And this is the thing. You always say this. If it's plus, you like it. If it's like too chalk, you stay away. The mind will trick you. Well, the other night, the Oilers played in the Battle of Alberta against the Flames. The total was 6.5, right? And it got up as far as the price was concerned at some of the books that I shop at, as far as minus 135, like for a total bet. And now that same book is giving me minus 105 for the over 6.5 in Philly versus Edmonton, and I'm more tempted now to be on the over in that game than I would have been with the minus 135 that ended 4-1 in favor of the Flames. I do think we see goals tonight. I'm not sure if the Oilers win tonight and get back on track, but I do think we see some goals in Philadelphia and Edmonton. And, one thing about this Oilers team, because I got to be fair, I always talk smack about the Leafs for this, so I got to say this. They don't score a lot of garbage goals unless it's Corey Perry or one or two guys. Like, there's nothing worse than watching McDavid dangle through 5 guys and then, someone else misses a tap in or something. They need to score a few garbage goals to get some momentum going. But I think that game could be a fun. John Tortorella might be yelling on the bench for tonight's game. It's going to be a fun one.
Well, it's funny because that line really smelled the other day. Calgary hosting the Flyers. We did have the Flyers there, and I did not have the Biff's Almanac knowing the Gaudreau 2-minute ceremony with the highlights and stuff. So an emotional start for the Flames. Quick 2-0. And it was thanks for playing there. So now they do the Jedi mind tricks again. An Edmonton team that has not won yet. An overnight number of minus 225, still currently 225. You can get the Flyers at a plus 203. A 6.5 juice under minus 15 cents. But here's the stunt here. Edmonton team total 3.5, only minus 130. They're like, don't rush to the window. It's a 6.5, and the Flyers are 2.5 flat. So again, who's getting the 4 here? It's the first one to 4. Maybe this has got that 4-3, 5-2 smell to it. So keep an eye on that. Before I let you go, is there a single prop that you kind of like? I know it's early, but there might be a little prop in the prop market here that everyone can grab a hold to.
For the Carolina Hurricanes, I don't always take shots on goal props just because of their ability to play defense, like be involved in low scoring games. But I'd be remiss if I didn't give out a player prop on the Carolina Hurricanes, and I want to look at Martin Necas. It's a little bit juicy. And the other one I liked was Seth Jarvis. His is plus 120. Jarvis is a guy that's going to shoot a ton of pucks. He's not really going to be the fanciest player. He doesn't score the highlight reel goals, but you got a Carolina team that's very well coached. And after their loss on Friday night, Rod Brendamore said, I didn't even know what team I was watching out there because it wasn't my team. And when that usually is the case, when you hear a coach call you out like that, you get back to simple hockey. So if we can take Seth Jarvis at plus 120 to get 3 shots on goal, I think is a good one. When your coach calls you out after one game, you better show up in game 2 of the season. So Seth Jarvis forward for the Carolina Hurricanes over 2.5 shots, plus 120. You got to love that with the props.
Scroller, go find Andrew at McInnis Picks on X or Twitter, whatever we're calling it. Go find all his work, obviously, on Wager Talk as well. But as we always close out here, Andrew, tell them what you got to offer this week at McInnis Picks.
It's $5 day at Wager Talk again. So Tuesdays are all $5 days, and I've got my first 5% play put out on $5 day. So if you guys want to join me, you want to see kind of how my write-ups go in the NHL, then today's a good day for it. It's also my first 5% play of the NHL season, Jeff. So that was a play I left off of breaking down a few of those games a few moments ago. But if anybody wants my best play of the day, you can get that over at Wager Talk. And the best part is, Jeff, I'll make it clear real quick. Inside that package, when you buy it, you're going to get a list of different promos, 30 days, 90 days, full season. So you pay the $5 for the play, but that $5 also grants you admission to getting all these coupon codes for the rest of the season. So I look forward to it, and hope you have a great day, Jeff. Great joining you as always.
As always, Andrew, have a blessed day. Enjoy the hockey, and we'll be talking throughout the week, and I'll be back with Andrew at McInnis Picks and his YouTube station Friday at 3:30 Eastern. Andrew, go have a day, my brother.
Thank you, sir. Take care.
Noah, let's go to a couple quick commercials. Everyone stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We're going to do a quick recap, tell you what we got here on the ECSI network for the rest of Tuesday. We'll be right back. ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app. Love our Tuesdays. Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern. Andrew, 11 a.m. in Canada, 7 a.m. in the West Coast here. Busy day here on the ECSI network. At 3 o'clock, Mr. Noah Frank, Mr. Ryan Shanklin, and Balls and Bow Ties will be here live on this network. Make sure you tune in for that. At 5 o'clock, myself and Riley Magnuson will be back for the closing bell. If you didn't watch last night's show, shame on you. Gave out Josh Allen first TD and anytime TD. As he gets it done there. And I did give out a Juan Soto homer prop as well. So we'll dig into game number 2, Cleveland and New York. Bibby versus Cole. Overnight number, Yankees minus 180. Guardians plus 150 with a 7 over minus 15 cents. Currently at the Circa, the Mecca on Fremont Street. Good morning to Mr. Benson and Mr. Stevens. Yankees minus 165, Guardians still at plus 150, and a 7 under minus 15 cents. Busy day of hockey, ECSI VIPs. The alert will come out at some point later this afternoon. Again, tune in at 3 o'clock Eastern to Balls and Bow Ties, Mr. Noah Frank and Ryan Shanklin, and come on back at 5 o'clock with myself and Riley for the closing bell. I can't thank all you guys enough for watching, getting up early, enjoying your morning with the ECSI network. Everyone, go have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. And Devontae Adams to the Jets. Live breaking news here. Stay tuned.